In England, an artist named Mark is jolted awake early in the morning by his neighbor Enid shouting his name through the wall. She's panicked, claiming something strange is happening outside. Mark ignores her at first, but when he rolls out of bed, he realizes the power is out. He tries to open his window, but it's completely jammed. Looking out, he spots a man in a nearby building frantically pounding on the glass, but Mark just brushes it off as some local wacko. Things go from bad to worse when he tries to make tea and finds the water has been cut off too. He checks the fridge for a drink, but without power, the milk is already spoiled. Deciding to skip breakfast, Mark hunts for clean clothes while Enid continues her rant through the wall. Since his alarm didn't go off without electricity, Mark realizes he's running seriously late. Just as he's about to head out, his ex-wife calls to chew him out for being an irresponsible father. They argue for a while, and Mark promises he'll be there soon. However, when he tries to turn the handle, his front door won't budge. Upon closer inspection, he discovers a strange industrial sealant has fused the door shut. Suddenly, the phone emits a piercing screeching sound and the line goes dead. He tries the landline with no luck. Looking out the window again, he notices his neighbors are in the same boat. Everyone has been sealed inside their own apartments.
Down on the street, men in hazmat suits have begun patrolling the area. Mark tries to call out to Enid, but he hears the sound of something shattering in her place, and she goes silent. Getting desperate, Mark grabs his tools to try and force the door open. He's startled by a sudden voice booming over the building's intercom, causing him to smash his hand with a hammer. The voice tells everyone to stay calm and insists the situation is under control. While Mark patches himself up, his wall begins to shake violently. A hole breaks through, and a man named Sergei appears with his younger brother, Niku. Sergei immediately checks Mark's windows and is disappointed to see they are sealed tight. Mark climbs through the hole into Sergei's place and confirms that his front door is also glued shut. They are soon joined by another couple, Sally and Aiden, who made their way through the same gap in the walls. Aiden theorizes that the government has set up a signal jammer to control the narrative and keep people from contradicting the official story. Losing his cool, Aiden begins wandering from room to room, desperately searching for a cell signal. The intercom voice repeats its "remain calm" script. Mark tries to talk to it, but the recording just loops. Sally, who happens to be a nurse, notices Mark's hand is still bleeding and offers to dress the wound properly. Afterwards, Sergei starts breaking down the wall into Enid's apartment.
The intercom chimes in again, this time adding that a medical team is on the way. Once they break through, the group finds Enid unconscious on the floor. Luckily, they manage to wake her up, and she seems okay. Peering out the window, they watch as the hazmat workers set up medical tents. The workers enter a building, perform a decontamination at the entrance, and begin dragging out people who look deathly ill. In some of the windows, they see neighbors coughing. Sergei is convinced it's a terrorist attack, but Aiden mocks the idea, causing him to get aggressive. The intercom interrupts them, claiming there has been a major gas leak in the area. Seeing Aiden trying to light a cigarette, Mark immediately snatches the lighter away. Neither of them believes the gas leak story. On the windowsill, a dead mosquito falls from the air. As the hours tick by, more and more residents are funneled into the tents. One of the evacuated men tries to make a run for it, but he is immediately taken out by a sniper's bullet to the head. All the neighbors at the windows look away in horror while the man's family screams below. A while later, they see the hazmat teams begin barging into other apartments to drag people out.
Mark argues that they have to escape before they're next, and the group agrees. Mark remembers he has corrosive chemicals used for his sculptures. He mixes a bucket of the stuff and splashes it onto the sealed door. The chemicals eat through the sealant, but they create a thick, choking smoke. They cover their faces and pull at the door, but it's still stuck. They hear heavy footsteps downstairs and realize the workers are now raiding their specific building. Outside, more people are being gunned down as they try to flee. The one resident manages to stab a worker in the process. The group gives the door another shove, and this time, it flies open. They start planning their next move, only to realize that Niku is missing. As the group frantically searches the rooms, Niku is actually hiding in the vents. He watches as a neighbor pleads with the hazmat workers who want to sedate her. The woman suddenly collapses. The workers realize she's level 3, so they decide to abandon her there and reseal the apartment. Sergei finally finds Niku and tries to pull him out with bedsheets. However, the noise alerts the workers who grab the boy and haul him away.
Sergei and Mark charge downstairs. Sergei goes into a rage, beating one of the workers to death with a bat. He then drags the second worker back up to the apartment for questioning, while Mark checks on Niku. Back in the room, Sally and Aiden are arguing because Sally called him heartless. He gets condescending, so Sally smashes his phone on the ground. Sergei returns with his captive and knocks her to the floor. The group raids her bag and finds tear gas grenades. Sergei then forces her against the window with a sign that says, "We've got one." While Sergei ties her up, her radio crackles to life with a message stating the situation is out of control. Mark tries to talk to the voice on the other end, but the man refuses to speak to a civilian. When Mark tries to hand the radio to their prisoner, Sergei grabs it and demands an explanation. Screams erupt over the radio before the signal cuts out. Mark tries a gentler approach with the woman, who introduces herself as Hazel. She swears her people are there to help and that the weapons are for self-defense since many locals aren't taking the lockdown well. When Mark reaches for her hazmat suit, she panics and shoves him away. It's clear she is protecting herself from them.
Hazel explains that a mysterious sickness appeared a month ago. They tried to keep it contained, but it moved too fast. Everything was classified to prevent widespread panic. The virus starts in the throat, making it nearly impossible to breathe or talk. Next, the victim goes blind, and finally their organs just shut down. Suddenly, a frustrated Sergei slashes Hazel's suit. She pulls out an injector, but Sergei swipes it from her. Hazel admits it's a prototype vaccine, but she's not even sure if it works. She tells them the only real hope is to stay isolated. By evening, the group is still arguing over who gets the vaccine, but the dosage is too low to share. While they talk, Hazel frees her hands and tries to bolt, but Sergei tackles her. The others have to pull him off her to stop the violence, and in the scuffle, Sergei accidentally hits Niku.
As more time passes, Aiden tries the radio again with no luck. He wants to be tested, so Hazel reveals her dead partner had a testing kit. Suddenly, an angry mob of residents emerges from a building, and the group realizes the crowd is coming for Hazel. The intercom rings. A man on the other end says his wife is dying and his daughter was taken. He wants to talk to the prisoner to find the vaccines. Mark tells him Hazel doesn't know anything, but the man doesn't buy it. He reveals they already captured and killed another worker. The crowd wants to get inside the building, but the group refuses to let them in for fear of infection. Sergei then breaks the intercom. Outside, loud noises indicate the mob is breaking in. Sergei grabs Hazel and prepares to throw her to the crowd. Hazel bluffs, telling him she'll scream that they are hoarding a vaccine if he does. Hearing the mob getting closer, Mark and the others drag a heavy sculpture into the hole to block the door. Meanwhile, Hazel manipulates Aiden by claiming she knows a secret checkpoint with more vaccines. However, Enid and Niku return to the room, so they have to wait. The mob reaches their floor and begins pounding on the door. Sally tries to make them see reason, but a man shatters the window and a shard of glass slits her throat. Sergei tosses a tear gas grenade to clear the hall. They pull Sally back into the apartment and free Hazel so she can use her medical training. Despite her efforts, Sally has lost too much blood and dies. Aiden has a breakdown and runs to another room. After they wrap Sally's body, they realize Aiden has vanished. He's stolen Hazel's hazmat suit, repaired it with tape, and slipped out. In the hallway, he injects himself with the prototype vaccine before heading outside. However, the angry crowd thinks he's a staff member and they swarm him. The sniper fires warning shots to clear the crowd, then shoots Aiden down. More hours pass and the group is losing their minds. Mark destroys his family photos while Sergei won't stop drinking. Hearing more noise, Sergei peeks out and sees the mob is back. Mark pushes Niku and Enid into the next apartment and tries to help Hazel, but Sergei refuses to let her come. He knocks Mark out with his bat and leaves. Mark wakes up alone. He looks out to see hazmat workers connecting trucks to the buildings. They are releasing poisonous gas. In the next room, the others are putting on masks, but Mark tackles Sergei in a rage. Enid has to beg Mark not to kill him. As the gas begins hissing through the vents, Mark says they have to get to the roof for fresh air. On their way to the stairs, they find Hazel's body. A neighbor startles Sergei and he beats him up. Mark realizes he can't fight them all and flees with Niku and Enid. Mark locks the stairwell door with a metal rod, leaving Sergei to the mob. They reach the roof door only to find it locked, but Mark manages to break it. They scramble onto the roof to breathe fresh air. The snipers are gone, likely having fled to avoid the poison themselves.
The three of them huddle together for warmth and fall asleep. In the morning, Mark wakes up to find that Enid has died. He tells Niku to close his eyes and carries him back down through the building, passing countless bodies along the way. They reach the medical tents, but there is nobody around. A recording over the speakers warns that anyone on the streets will be treated as an infection risk. Mark finds a hazmat suit and puts it on to blend in. Suddenly, a crazed neighbor ambushes them, grabbing Niku and holding a shard of glass to his throat. Niku kicks him away, but the man lunges at Mark and stabs him. Mark manages to take the man down at the same time. Afterward, Niku tries to help Mark walk, but Mark knows he doesn't have much time. He hands Niku his phone and tells him to keep walking until he finds a signal so he can text Mark's ex-wife for help. After Niku leaves, Mark lets go and passes away. Almost immediately, two hazmat workers appear behind Niku and hit him with a sedative.
Sometime later, Niku wakes up in a tent filled with other children. The staff tells him everything will be fine, and Niku stares at the phone, wondering if he should still send the text. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more videos like this.